Michael Schoeffel, and I'll be reading a selection from my essay titled In the Pale December Light. I was sitting in the back of a fire truck in a Walmart parking lot while the rest of my crew was buying groceries for our New Year's Day meal the following shift. Greens, black-eyed peas, that sort of thing. It was a three-way call between myself, my wife, Caitlin, and a doctor from UNC Chapel Hill. Caitlin and I weren't expecting the test results until after New Year's, and we were fine with this because it allowed us to temporarily pretend like everything was normal. But the results came back early, so there we were, learning about the fate of the creature that's been growing inside Caitlin's uterus for the past 7 months, 3 days before the end of one of the worst years in recent memory. There was a grisly knot in my stomach, a tough hunk of meat bubbling in oil. What does it mean to hit the genetic lottery? On one end of the spectrum, it results in supremely gifted professional athletes, 6'5", 250-pound linebackers who can run 40-yard dashes in 4.6 seconds. Likewise, talented and beautiful actors and actresses with symmetrical faces and uncommon powers of emotion and sensuality. On the opposite end of the spectrum, there are the forgotten. The lottery nobody wants to win but must be won by some. The unluckily lucky ones, the 1 in a million that nobody wishes to be. The doctor is on the phone with us. She's saying a word Caitlin and I can't understand. Van Maldergem? Van Maldergem? What's that? How do you spell it? Okay, Van Maldergem syndrome. What's that? Explain it to us, Doc. Extremely rare, she says. Like a bolt of lightning hitting this gene, this FAT4 gene. Clubbed feet, clenched hands, possible intellectual disability, possible hearing loss, possible soft trachea requiring surgery upon birth, difficulty eating, slow physical development, she says in so many words. Finally, a diagnosis. After months of not knowing, now we know. But it doesn't make us feel better. In fact, we feel worse. Within that knowing are so many unknowns. Encouraging that the most recent ultrasound of his brain looked normal, she says. Not everyone with this disorder has an intellectual disability, but some do. Who knows when we'll know if Conley is one of them? Just another waiting game, like the one we've been playing for months, since an ultrasound at a specialist exposed our son's concerning abnormalities. Back then they were just that, concerning but unspecific. Now we know the specifics, sort of. Our firefighting crew walks out of Walmart. Our driver, Joey, carries a bag of enormous collard greens, symbol of a new year. The guys move quickly across the asphalt, eager to get out of the cold. Joey opens the door and hands me the collards. What kind of news did you get? I tell him and see the water pool in his eyes. I go home. My crew tells me to go home. Take the rest of the night off. To hell with this place, says the acting battalion chief. Family comes first. As I drive down the interstate, 45 minutes back to my farmhouse in a beautiful Appalachian holler, I'm numb. The December light seems paler now. It casts haunting shadows on the soft yellow mountains. I'm floating above it all. The scenery through the windshield is a movie. It's not a death sentence, I tell myself. There's still hope, but the knot remains in my gut. The hunk of meat bubbling in oil. How rare is this thing? This Van Maldergem syndrome. Turns out the doctor was wrong. It's more rare than being struck by lightning. Lightning hits 1 in 500,000 people each year, according to the CDC. Van Maldergem has been diagnosed 19 times total. 19. Apparently only one person in Australia has it. One. Perhaps some of the milder cases have gone undiagnosed, thus making the disorder appear more infrequent than it actually is. Less. I tried to conduct research online, tried to find potential support groups, but there's not that much out there. What's the life expectancy for someone with this disease? I don't know. Can't find that information. What are the chances of an intellectual disability? Don't know. Can't find that either. Most of the data is skewed towards the more severe cases, where kids are born with low IQs and look as though they have Down syndrome. Don't let what you see online scare you too much. Those are the more intense cases, the doc said, but prepare yourself what you might be in for. Caitlin is torn up, lying in bed. I drop my stuff on the living room floor and crawl under the comforter, still clothed. The abnormal gene, the FAT4, the one that's causing the Van Maldergem or whatever, came from her. She cries, is hysterical. It came from me, she says. You were perfect. You could have had a normal child with someone else. I wouldn't want a kid with anyone else, I tell her, and mean it. But don't you have resentment towards me, she asks. Well, if the script was flipped and it was me who supplied the funky gene, would you hate me for it? No, I would feel so sad for you. Well, there you go, I said. And then we just lie there, the curtains pulled tightly over the windows, our room an impenetrable cave. Apropos of nothing, I tell her that I drove an ambulance earlier in the day, about how it was the first time I've seen a person with obvious stroke symptoms. Why didn't you want to go to the hospital? She asked. Caitlin asks. I don't know. I say, sometimes people are proud, sometimes people don't want to believe anything is wrong with them. We lay in silence for a few minutes. Outside our cave, the cold December light is fading and the mountains are darkening. The world is spinning to disappear, then emerge again tomorrow, bathed again in the pale light. We should play the lottery, she says, breaking the silence. I mean, what are the chances? I tell her that we've already won the lottery. The chances of winning twice aren't so good. Impossible, even. Perhaps you'd have a better chance of getting struck by lightning. But one can never know anyone for sure. One can never know anything for sure. Now, can one? Thank you.